everybody, hope you're well. So this video is requested by Sassenach10. So I am going to be answering a couple more of the questions that she sent in. So I'm going to be answering question 5, and it also has a part A and B. So I'll be going into a little bit more depth then. So the first question is, which game or games has the most user-friendly interface or appeals to you the most? Okay, well, if I'm looking at this purely as like the interface of the game, I would say that like out of Horse and Star Stable and Horse Eden, Horse Isle, Equiverse, etc., and like Beastkeeper, the ones that I prefer would be the likes of Horse, Star Stable. Horse Isle was reasonably straightforward in its interface as well, and Beastkeeper as well. I think was reasonably easy to find where buttons were quite quickly. I mean, we had the tutorial as well, but I didn't find it too difficult to sort of figure out. Whereas I know that like the likes of etc. was like that's still in development, so it's not finished. So it's not really fair for me to say that the interface isn't like it isn't up to where the other ones are, but that's because it's being developed, so it's not going to be. And then the likes of Horse Eden and Equiverse, they're reasonably okay as well. I think it just takes a little while because I think there's a lot of tabs with the likes of Horse Eden, so you're like looking and you're like, where is it? And you know it should be in there, but you have no idea where you're actually supposed to be looking. So, but I think the same can be said with Horse. There's a lot of stuff. If you're not familiar with the Horse layout, I think it would drive you insane as a new user because there's a lot of buttons to press, and I think that can be quite overwhelming. I mean, I know that the best way I can explain it is every time Horse changed the user interface, I got irritated because I was like, muscle memory, I know where everything is, and every time that they changed something, I had to relearn it. So it was like, no, just leave it alone. I don't think I can pick an overall winner for that, really, because I could see areas where I think it would change things. I mean, what I liked that Horse did, I think maybe it would take the edges. They allowed you to change the layout. There is a VIP perk which allows you to drop and drag the different elements of the page, similar to the way Beastkeeper's laid out, and move certain tabs. So if you want to put your AC at the top, you could do that. If you want to put your training at the top, you could do that. You could put the competitions at the bottom. I like that because you could set it up like you wanted, what suited you. And I used to do that because it meant that I could set it up in a way that focused purely on blopping the horse as quickly as possible. And if you had a different goal in mind, you could use that. So I think Horse is possibly going to be on like that level for being able to allow you to actually physically customize the layout of the horses. I mean, it doesn't change, where the community tab is or your stable tab and stuff like that. But I think it just gives you a little bit more freedom and flexibility if you're using that VIP perk. And then to go into the next part of this question, so A, in which games do you most enjoy breeding better horses and why? Oh, this is a tough one because, let's say, well, I suppose we can rule out some of them because Star Stable, there's no breeding in Star Stable whatsoever. And I don't know if there's any breeding in Horse Isle because I haven't played enough Horse Isle to know. So I'll rule out Horse Isle and Star Stable for now because I don't know about Horse Isle and I'm definitely not in Star Stable. So I think like with Beastkeeper, that's been quite interesting so far, and I've done very little. I've only had the one pet born in Beastkeeper, and with etc. I haven't bred any horses in that yet at all. So I think if I'm gonna have to talk about Horse Eden and Horse really in that particular respect. Horse, you know, I have had a lot of experience in that game, and I think I definitely can say that I enjoyed a lot of the time that I spent in that game, breeding unicorns, even though sometimes that drives me mad. Breeding new stars with a lot of the horses on horse, and many of them were their first. So that is very rewarding, and I think there was times where it could be stressful, like you were really, really pushing for making an achievement. But I've never, ever had anything the level of that since that. And yes, I played it at like a really, really high level for a really long time. Horse Eden is fun, and I enjoy breeding a horse on it because you just never know sometimes what you're going to get. I mean, obviously, if you pay a lot of attention to the genetics and that, but sometimes you're not really sure what you're going to get. And I don't really understand so much the skills in that game yet. I understand most of the genetic stuff, and there's still a lot of stuff to learn, but I think horse is the only one that's ever given me the thrill of pushing to new levels with horses that nobody else has reached before. And I think for that reason it would win that, because it is pushing the boundaries in that respect. But it's very high intensity when you do that. But at the same time, you can be just breeding your own horses and still having as much fun and not trying to compete against the other teams at all. But I think like whenever you're in that competitive seat where you're, competing against other teams, it's so thrilling and it's exciting because you're just like trying to be quicker than the next team. And that, whenever I remember blopping madly sometimes with some of my teammates, that was actually really fun. High stress at times, but a lot of fun. So horse is going to win that as well, I guess. So go to part B of this question. Which games allow players to improve and train an individual horse? And in what games do you most enjoy training horses in? I think right now it would probably be Star Stable is what I enjoy training horses most in, because I'm actually in a physical space and I, can actually jump and try out new like ways of going around the course and figuring out how each of those horses seem to like go, because I find like whenever I'm on the Frisian I feel like I'm trying to turn a bus around a very really small corner, or like if I take one of the thoroughbreds in the riding hall and it's just like it's hitting the walls because it won't turn, and I'm going at flat gallop so I'm not going to get a tight turn, but that's kind of fun, I think, because you're more in the physical space with it. And I have had a lot of fun, like improving horses and training horses on horse, as I mentioned a minute ago. But I think what's more fun with Star Stable is I can do it with a group. I don't have to do it on my own. And yes, I was often working with a team on horse, and people would be helping me, fill competitions and that. But it isn't like you're actually running the race at the same time as them, if that makes sense. So I think for that reason, I would be like, yes, Star Stable wins in that. Um, Horse Eden, I real honest, I don't totally yet completely understand some of the what happens when I train some of the horses yet. I really need to go and reread the manual a couple of more times because some of it's just going over my head. Horse Isle, that was kind of fun doing some of like the wee random mini games on Horse Isle. Like I haven't actually got a horse on Horse Isle yet. Uh, as for like Equiverse, that I kind of like it a little bit. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like my favorite, but it seems to be, um, you just kind of get on with it, and I think I'm making sense of it as I go along. And then Beastkeeper, I kind of like the battles. I think that's cool because you're like, you have to fight these ones, and if you win, then you get XP. I don't know if you get XP. If you lose, you probably don't. But I like the way that's done as well because it's just a different mechanic within, a game that's quite similar to some other ones in principles. Like it's very much kind of looks kind of similar to horse, but there's different elements to it. It's not just like you go and do competitions, you have to go do missions, and these missions, you're going to come up against enemies that you have to fight. So I think that's kind of fun. You don't always know what attack you're going to be hit with next. So I think Star Stable is going to win that overall for most enjoyment because training at times in Star Stable, if you're training every single day and every single race, it can be just as tedious as if you're training and blopping horses every single day on horse over and over and over again. So that would kind of be my overall thoughts, I think, on that. Right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you to Sasnik 10 for the questions. I hope you had a lovely day. Bye, guys.